Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to our second Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents of the Week. And if you thought Tuesdays was depressing, this might not get much better. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Brighton and Hove Albion correspondent, Sam Murray. How are you, Sam?
I'm good, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me back on, James.
Good man, Sam. Thank you, mate. And let me introduce you to our Norwich City correspondent, Mark Hammond. How are you, Mark?
Not too bad, thanks, James.
Oh, God.
I got away with it. I thought I got away with it, but you was adamant you wanted me on. So, if you thought last night with Sean was depressing, you wait till I get going.
Yeah, it's not a case that Mark went to me, went, have you forgotten me? I was like, no, Mark, I want you to come on the pod. I really do, mate. Sam, I must start with you. You are the home team at the weekend. Let me go back to game week 25. You had the double. We had you on with Gary. Is my cap playing before the double? There was a little bit of confidence knocking about. You played the first game at Watford. You were in your way end. I know you were. You played ever so well. There was even murmurs of Europe being mentioned, yes. I believe. Since then, 6 defeats, 1 goal scored. What's happened, mate?
Well, that Watford game was one of the best performances we've had in the league, the most complete. Like, we looked like a Premier League team. And I did think when we came away from that after the game and we were having a drink and we started talking about, we're only this many points off Europe, that's when I thought something's going to change here, and we're going to come back to reality pretty soon. It's been a weird season, because up until February it was one of the most enjoyable I've had, because we were finally away from the relegation zone. I'm pretty happy in mid-table. I've had some brilliant away days, like West Ham, Palace, Southampton. Now looking back, some of those games maybe have been papering over the cracks with some last minute equalisers.
I was going to say, weren't they all draws?
Yeah. See, they you come
they're
away.
All late, they're all late levelers, weren't they?
They were all 98, 95th minute. But 6 losses in a row is bad. We go on a run like this every year, but I think this time around it's more about how we've lost them. I think last year we had our runs where we went however many without a win, but the performances were good. We were frustrated more, like, because we created so many chances and we were fast and we had a clear tactic. But this time it's just disappointing, really. The last few weeks we're losing without much of a fight, and it's slow, it's boring, and like you said, 1 goal in 6 games, and that was a header from a corner. It's poor.
Yeah, I mean, am I right? I've said a few times recently, Sam, I've said yourselves and Southampton. Like, Southampton had a great run recently. They've had a couple of bad results as well. The two of you, it feels to me like every season you have 9-10 games. It's like, they've only lost once. And then it goes the other way and it's like, you've only won once. Is this something that happens to Brighton every year? Because it's beginning to feel a bit like that, like you have a long, sustained run of really bad results for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Just been inconsistent, really. But it's not inconsistency as in win-lose. It is that we will go 2 months playing brilliantly and not losing, and then our form will turn, and we'll always end up around the same spot in the league every single season. I'm pretty sure every year we've had in the Premier League, we finished on 9 wins, and we started the season on fire. We won 4 in 5, and I thought this year it's going to be different, and it's just happened again. We have our poor run. It could just be like a classic. As soon as you get far enough away from the relegation, the foot comes off the pedal a little bit, and we just take a few percentage off what we're capable of. But I'm not quite sure why it happens, because it's a regular thing.
So come on then, what's the answers? Why? There's got to be something in it. And I've mentioned Adam Webster a lot, and we spoke about it when we last spoke to you as well. It can't just be down to one player, mate.
Well, I think it's a bit of both with the attack and the defence, which is quite unlike us, because usually we've had for quite a few years now, it's going forward, it's been a little bit of a problem. Not necessarily creating chances, but just scoring the goals. And usually we can rely on our defence to bail us out a little bit, I think, and always been pretty solid. And now everyone seems to be in poor form at the minute. Going forward, slow, predictable, I think, and quite easy to play against, easy to defend against. And at the back, Webster, I always talk about how important Webster is, really. He does such a good job of linking the defence and the attack. I've retweeted something the other day. I think outside the top six, he is so far clear of progressive yards carried, which really shows we're just such a better team with him. But not just his quality. I think it allows us to play that back three, which we said all season's our strongest defence of Veltman, Dunk and Webster, with Lamptey and Cucurella as wing backs. And I was thinking about it. I think I might be wrong. The only games I can actually think where those five started together were the Watford win, when we won 2-0, and Leeds at home, I think, earlier in the season, which was 0-0. They're the only two games I can think of where they've all played together. So it's just the unsettled defence, injuries and suspensions have kind of forced us to play a slightly different system, but we should be doing better than we have been anyway.
One of the things with yourselves always is when you have a bad run, the analytics crowd come out, don't they? Yeah, but they're doing all right on the XG and stuff. And look, you scored 1 in the last 6, but your XG over that period is only 5.66. So this is according to Understat. So you are well under that. Of course, you're underperforming XG. And you're overperforming your expected goals conceded. You've conceded 13 in those 6. Your expected goals conceded is 10.99. But it's worth saying that's one of the worst in the league. And your expected points over the period since that Watford game would have you 18th. Are you safe?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think we'll be fine. It's a bit scary because we seem to have hit the beach quite early in the season, and the tide's coming in, and we need that just a few more points just to be safe. I think.
Problem with your beach is there's not enough sand on it, mate. That's the big problem with your beach.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. I think we're also quite lucky that before these 6 losses, we did have a pretty good run of form, beating Brentford, Watford, Everton, teams below us, and picking up a few points as well against Chelsea and whoever. So otherwise we would really be in danger. I'd like to think we'll be okay. It would be a big collapse, wouldn't it, for the position we were in.
You're on 33 points, and that might even be safe already.
Yeah.
But I'd worry a little bit if you don't get a positive result on Saturday against Norwich, suddenly it's Arsenal away, Tottenham away, Man City away, and then suddenly you're into the final 5, which still includes having to play Wolves, Man United and West Ham, Southampton and Leeds, the other 2. I mean, you've got a tough run in as well, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, that is the thing as well. And not even just where it ends up, and we might end up safe, but it's also just the having to watch every team around you and hoping that Burnley or Everton drop points. I thought we were clear of that this year, and I don't want to just even be close to that conversation, really. So this game at the weekend's turned out to be quite a big one. Hopefully after the break we can come in fresh, and a few players coming back like Webster. So it is a big game, but yeah, if we don't win, the fixtures aren't kind after.
No, they're not. Let's bring Mark in. Mark, everyone's writing you off again. Is it done?
Yeah, totally done. There's no way on earth.
I'm so sad hearing that.
Well, it's the way we've crumbled, basically, isn't it? Again, this is the thing that's annoyed the fan base, really. We got ourselves into a half-decent position, sort of last time I was on, January time, and got back-to-back wins, and you're starting to think maybe things are clicking ever so slightly. But yeah, no, it's the way we've gone about it in the crunch games, the ones where we should be sort of busting the gut to, win and put in decent performances against Brentford and Leeds, and we've not done it. Them games where they were must win, where it was like the worst performance of the season, and that's saying something. They was dismal. So yeah, Brentford at home was it wasn't the Leeds result that sort of killed it for me. It was the Brentford one. You can't. I don't think Brentford are a particularly good side at all. And the way we performed that afternoon, well, yeah, I mean, we made them look really good, and yeah, it was pretty pathetic, if I'm honest.
I did a piece back in January on Adamida and the difference he was making to you. You'd had the win at Watford. You'd drawn at home to Palace. You were winning that day. You'd beaten Everton before Watford as well. This is the little period you're talking about, isn't there? It's the 7 points. Yeah. Then Ida got ruled out for the season. Nothing since. Is his injury, because I mean, he's obviously a young player who'd only just broken into the team. Has his injury had that much of an impact, or is there more to it? There's got to be something in the fact that there's a correlation there.
I think it is relevant what you're saying, totally, in that he linked the attack and Pukki was isolated, and yeah, it just seemed to be the missing piece of the jigsaw to get the whole team ticking, really. But that combined with probably no investment in January as well, which I know we sort of maxed out in the summer, but to leave no money and to leave no room for investment in January. No, we needed something. We needed some help because we're too light in certain positions, like that being one. If Pukki would have got injured, then even now, even though it's done, but still, who on earth would we play up front now? Same, in 2 or 3 other key areas, and that it's a bloated squad, but in the vital key areas we're quite light, and there's just, it don't really matter who we play in that position where Ida's playing, because no one could sort of do the job that he was doing. So
no, but then he's broken into the team, and the club's probably looking at it and going, if we buy someone else, that's going to put him out of the team. This young boy is doing well, and he obviously got injured 10 days or so after the window shut. It's sod's law, isn't it? If he'd got injured 2 weeks earlier, you might have even got someone in on loan or something, maybe.
Well, we should have got someone in on loan, yeah. Maybe if there was no money, but just to write it off totally, because, as I say, our bench is weak as anything. So there's absolutely nothing on the bench which makes our starting 11 any better at the moment at all. So, yeah, you just got to look around the teams without Pukki's goals, and there's absolutely nothing going forward, really.
I felt like what Ida did was he gave you, in this season and your previous Premier League season as well, I felt like he was giving you a link between midfield and attack that I hadn't seen before. So obviously previously you'd had the likes of Buendia and Cantwell 2 years ago as well, filling in the 10 position, offering a nice link. That hasn't really been there at all this season, that kind of link player. But he was gelling the team together, and also you could knock it into him and he was bouncing off people and holding the ball up for you like a real target player, which you've never had. And it was taking such a burden off Pukki, because I watched so many games and I think, God, he's isolated. It always feels like it's going to be the same goal for Pukki, that Buendia pass that was so popular last year, slide him in and away. Whereas Ida, I felt like, was creating space for him as well, and it was having a knock-on positive impact on other players like Rashica, and it's just gone since then, I feel.
Yeah, they look good together, Pukki and Ida, for the few games where Ida was thrown in a given chance. And ever since then, we haven't really looked like a team going forward at all. So
you're 9 points adrift of Everton, played 2 games more. 8 points adrift, played 2 games more. Why no chance? Your fixtures are better than, I'm not saying you're going to finish above Sam's team, but your running's not terrible, particularly the next few. If you can get a result at Brighton, then it's Burnley at home. You got Newcastle at home a couple after that. And then in the end games, Villa, West Ham, Wolves, Tottenham, ironically, looks tough. But by the time each individual fixture comes around, those teams might have nothing to play for.
The thing is, we had this same conversation 2 years ago, and we ended up scoring 1 goal in the last 10 games. And all I see is this fizzling out into exactly the same situation. So,
but even to that extent, that you just don't see the team scoring goals at the moment.
No, in regards to whether we stay up or not, we're not going to double our points tally in the last 9 games.
Yeah, that's probably what it needs. Yeah,
that's probably what it needs. And when I look at what I've seen in the last few games, I don't see us picking up too many points. We'll be lucky to win 1 game, I would have thought.
Wow. Do you feel like everybody targets you? aggressively in the extent that it's Norwich, we've got to beat them?
Yeah, I think so. But the thing is, as well, going back to the recruitment in summer, I think there's a lot of Norwich fans who'd like to sort of stick their two fingers up at a lot of people. Because obviously everything's we've read, it's like we've written off to start with. And then there's us thinking, hang on a minute, it'll be different this time. We spent the money, let this team gel. And obviously it's right back to like, oh, Norwich don't deserve to be in the Premier League, like they're a yo-yo club, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously, so you have to sort of ride with all of that. And then it would be nice, obviously, to prove people wrong. But then it gets to the point where you look at it and think, nah, everyone was right all along. This team is way off the level required.
Is it way off? I mean, is it, in your opinion, is it the worst team in the league?
Yeah, no doubt.
It's fucking harsh to say. Is that how you see it, Sam? Do you look at the weekend and think it's Norwich got to win?
Yeah, I think most teams would look at Norwich and think they should win. If even after we've lost 6 in a row, I'm guessing we're probably still big favourites. And it feels crazy saying it, but yeah, I think most teams, especially at home, will want 3 points.
Is this a good fixture or a bad fixture for you, Sam? Considering what you just said.
Probably. Well, we don't really do well. We're not great at home anyway, and we've seen it even in the last few months when Burnley and Villa. I feel like it's easy to come and if Norwich come and say they're happy with a point, they'll probably walk away with a point. I think they can keep us out pretty easily. If the Norwich come to the Amex and attack and go for the win, then I think that will probably suit us. And it depends if it's an open game or not. But no, I'm not confident.
Would you be, Mark? Would you be happy with a draw at the weekend?
Well,
it's irrelevant, isn't it? You've got to win, haven't you?
Yeah, it's irrelevant. Yeah, but the thing is, as well, it's got to the point where it actually doesn't really matter anyway. The thing is, like when we equalised at Leeds, all we was doing with that point potentially at Leeds was sucking Leeds into it.
Locking them in, yeah.
It didn't really make much of a difference to us. I don't know. Like the thing is, when I look at the way it's been for us, like Brentford and Leeds haven't won for 8 games each, and then they beat us. They go on, record successive wins. Brighton haven't won for 6 games. I know exactly what's going to happen at the weekend.
Well, I hope if they beat you, they win successive games as well, because I got Arsenal afterwards. So I'm rubbing my hands at that one, mate.
You never know.
But I think, Sam, you know my point, don't you? We've spoken about it a lot with your team, that actually you're better off walking into the more difficult fixture sometimes, aren't you? But then I was at your place for the game between our teams a couple of weeks ago, and it was so straightforward. And I'm a fan of the way your team plays when it plays well. I'm one to big you up. I couldn't believe how straightforward it was.
Yeah, I think straightforward is the perfect way to describe playing against us at the minute. It's so easy, and maybe it's just me being pessimistic, but every game we play at the minute, we don't even feel like scoring. As soon as we went 1-0 down, it was sort of like it's game over. I just never thought we were going to come back into it, and yeah, we're easy to play against, and maybe it's due to this whole switching formation thing and not being able to play the system we want. But yeah, either way, it's too easy.
There will be a few people, Sam, who, particularly those I think are free hitted in 30, may still be having Brighton assets knocking about in their team. Maupay, I binned Trossard somewhat reluctantly ahead of game week 29, but I felt it became a necessity. There'll be people with Cucurella. There'll be people with Joel Veltman possibly. There'll definitely be people with Sanchez. What are you saying to them people? Is it a case of play them this week and bin them as quick as possible afterwards? Is that the idea?
Yeah. Well, I'm one of them. You warned me weeks ago if I was going to go for a Brighton player, I'd probably stick around in my team and be here for weeks. And I've still got Cucurella after all his 1-pointers. Yeah, he'll start. He'll be in my team this week. I still think you've got to back us. From an FPL point of view, as a Brighton fan, I'm not confident, but I can't take him out.
Just looking at Cucurella's points, 5 points last 6 game weeks. And actually, going back to the periods where I think everyone was looking at him after you played Brentford and Chelsea over the Christmas period, where he had 17 points. It was obviously a 6-pointer at Watford. The games before that aren't clever either. 1-3, 2-2. He looked like someone who was regularly going to be in the bonus and stuff, but you just haven't had the clean sheets for it, have you?
Yeah, and as well with him, he's been hurt as well by the formation that with the three at the back. He can really, I mean, him and Lamptey are some of our more creative players when we play that formation. So yeah, right now I'm holding on to him. Everyone else, I mean, even at the best of times with Brighton, even when we're in good form and we've got good fixtures, it's still quite difficult to convince everyone to go for Maupay and Trossard. But yeah, right now we're a no-go, and if you're still hanging on to Brighton players, they're fine for this week, I guess. But after that, they wouldn't be anywhere near my team.
Do you think the squad might be tired, Sam? I'm just thinking back to when I feel like you've had good periods. I feel like maybe sort of going back to last January, ironically, where I felt like you then had a good turn. I think about the win at Leeds at Ellen Road felt particularly massive, and then you had a decent run of results after that. And if I think back to the comments I made then last season, one of the things I said, it looks like I've got a stable team now. Do you think it's gone the other way where a lot of these are tired? And I mention that because Cucurella started every game in his first Premier League season. I'm looking at Joel Veltman, and he started, I think, all but 1 or 2 of the last sort of 25 or so. Is there a case that it's gone the other way? Actually, it was too settled earlier in the season, and now they're fatigued, maybe.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think as well. We had Basuma as well, who went off to AFCON. And he's come back, and since then, his form hasn't been anywhere near what
he was rubbish against us. But when you played us in the cup, and I'm sure that that his first game back.
That was the first game after he came on. I think
he was brilliant at White Hart Lane in the cup, but he wasn't good against us in the league game.
No, he's been off, and to be fair, it's not just been him. It's Dunk since he's come back from injury hasn't been the same. Trossard's been off it for Trossard in the international break just gone. I think he got a goal and 2 assists, man the match for Belgium, and it's now I know he'll come back and play at the Amex and he'll do his usual, but everyone's been off it. Yeah, tiredness possibly. I feel like that there were times a while back when we had such a good squad as well. It would be difficult, and you could pick so many different players to play. And right now, it's kind of we're stuck with Trossard and Maupay. We could throw Welbeck in, but it doesn't. Not from the start. And then you've got the same 3 centre midfielders, and maybe a bit of tiredness. Yeah.
I think I'd just like to add, I was amused by seeing Trossard score for Belgium. I was also amused by seeing that Trossard and Christian Benteke had scored goals for the number 1 ranked team in the world. You have got a double coming up though, Sam, and it's rough.
Yeah.
Tottenham away and Man City away. But does that, as a Cucurella owner, does that make you think, I want to hold on? Or do you just think, oh, no, sod that?
I mean, I'll still have him, but I don't think he'd probably be on my bench, because you look at the City away, I think you'd probably be lucky to get a 2-pointer out of that, really. That could easily be 1-0.
You might be lucky to get a 1, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really, it's a double, but it's not really exciting.
No, it's worse than Burnley's double this week. And we're kind of saying, don't go mad for Burnley assets. Yours is worse. You've got Arsenal before that. Obviously, Tottenham's the first part of the double as well. Would you fancy yourself to get anything in those 3 away games?
No, it's crazy. It would be crazy for me to expect anything. We'll see what happens at the weekend. I think now we've had a break, and I'm not going to get too ahead of myself, though. If we do win, I can't expect too much from the away games after.
Are you going to any of them away games?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe Arsenal. No. You really have given up. Okay, Mark, will you be on that rocky beach at weekend at Brighton?
No, I've given up.
Yes, because I know the pair of you go away so much, but you'd said last time you was on, Mark, that like you just weren't enjoying it as much, and it wasn't worth it.
This really not enjoying it at all. And I know there'll be sort of fans, and I know Norwich have been in League One before, and there's worse places to be than obviously the Premier League. So you don't appear ungrateful and like this is the promised land and all that. But there's no fun in going to some of these games, even the home games, are a bit mature where you're getting absolutely torn apart. Yeah, and even with the Premier League, there's a lot of grounds I've been to before, and this is probably my lowest, apart from the COVID sort of year, where it's like my lowest away total probably for 15 plus years. Just an absolute lack of interest, really.
Do you think, let's say you do go down, do you think you come straight back again?
It's no guarantees, is there? I think we'd certainly be in the mix, even if we had to do a bit of an overhaul and sell a few people and get a few people in. And because remember, this is not Dean Smith's team at all. He got given no money in January at all. So be interested to see what he can do. Presumably he'll hang around because he'd have known coming in that there's a fair chance we've got relegated. Be interested to see what he can do. There's various players on loan here, there and everywhere. So it's just a case of getting a squad to gel, and yeah, they'll more than likely be in the mix, but all depends who come down with us as well.
Well, yeah, I part mentioned it off the back of the podcast we did on Tuesday, because speaking to both Jack and Sean about Burnley and Everton respectively, we'd worry for either of them if they go down. Burnley, with obviously the recent takeover, it's not sure if maybe they're being used as a bit of an investment vehicle. Everton have released their financial results since we recorded. They're obviously not in for a point deduction, but it is very clear that if they went through the trapdoor, then they would have to sell the whole squad probably, just to kind of meet FFP guidelines and stuff. So, I mean, if they came down with you, those two, ironically, you would look the most equipped to come back up.
Probably.
And someone always comes back. Always.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, definitely. I think out the last 3 seasons, out the 9 teams have gone down, the 6 have come back, haven't they? So yeah, there's a fair chance. I think obviously Watford came down with us, which seems fairly likely, perhaps.
I was going to say the joke doing the rounds is that I think you'll play Watford every game, every season for forever, and you'll never play Fulham again. Is the joke that's going around at the moment?
Yeah.
No, well, that's it, isn't it? And the one thing about saying the non-spending is you're in the right position to go and be equipped to deal with the Championship. The wage expenditure is not like the other clubs. I imagine your players' wages are probably not even like what Burnley's are on, actually. They'd probably be quite close, maybe. Possibly dependent on whether they've got relegation release wage clauses inserted in their contracts. Your players definitely will. Who's sellable though, Mark, if you go? Because obviously you had money coming before with like Godfrey and Jamal Lewis, and obviously even last summer with Buendia. Who's the sellable asset in the club now? Is it still just Max Aarons?
Well, the thing is, Max Aarons hasn't really done himself any favours this year because he's not been fantastic at all.
I agree.
He actually got taken out for one game. Byron went in at right back. But yeah, Aarons hasn't done himself any favours. Probably could get himself a move, but it might not be the move he hoped for. And what?
No, there was talks of Barcelona when you went down the other year, weren't there? So
and you were talking 30-40 million pounds. Now you're probably talking half of that. So he's an asset still. Cantwell, if Bournemouth do go up, I think there's an agreed fee of £11 million for him. So try and get rid of him. Omar Bamidele and Ida are assets, but they're both injured and have been for a while. So you'd expect them to stick around. Other than that, possibly the only signing who's sort of half come off is Rasika. Possibly could go back to Bundesliga, might go lower half of the Premier League, perhaps at a push. But other than that, I don't think there's anyone.
What about Norman?
Yeah, well, he's a lone player. He'll go back. Okay. Yeah, he was good before he got injured. Ever since he's come back, he's looked rubbish as the others. So,
has Billy Gilmore improved?
No, he's rubbish. Absolute crap.
I still can't get over that, but I've absolutely, I can't say I've seen him play well for Norwich, and you watch the team every week, Mark. You know best, mate. Can't disagree. Right, FPL. I know, Mark, you particularly can't wait to tip up your assets, so I'm going to leave you go for a moment. I keep saying, Sam, that Jimenez owners should buy Weghorst. Make the case for Neil
Maupay. Oh, God.
or don't.
I don't think there is one. I don't think there is one.
Fine. There's nothing because all I'm looking at with Veghorst is, and everyone's going there. You're going, they're going right. Well, it's a double now, and it's possibly another double. But you've got Norwich this week, and then you've got a double in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think
nearly the same.
Yeah, the case is that there's not many options. So if you're going to have a punt, maybe the forward option is the place to do it. I mean, when Veghorst is the go-to, you know, there's it just shows what the selection is like up front. So maybe Maupay, but you need him to get something this week because then
you'd want to. I mean, if you blanked, you'd want to get rid of him immediately. I think
exactly. Yeah.
If you were on wild card, how many Brighton would you go with? Do you think?
0. There wouldn't be any Brighton players in there.
If I forced you to have one, who would it be?
It would be. I would have said Moda, but he's out of the team. He's been out of the team for the last few weeks.
4.5 million midfielder. Is Jakob Moda a better option than Jacob Ramsey or Anthony Gordon, mate?
No. There's not much, is there? Maybe one of our defence. Maybe Duffy. Even now with Webster coming back, he probably not even going to play.
I've seen we're pre-recording this on Wednesday night, and I saw you'd shared kind of thumbs up a couple of hours ago that Webster's back in training. Yeah. Is he available for Saturday?
Well, we've got the whole defence is a bit. We're not sure about Webster. Hopefully, when he did get injured, Potter did say that after the international break was what we're targeting. So, I mean, he's back in training, so I hope he's back. But
so I guess for all we know, he's been training for a week, and Brighton have only just released the picture today, right? It's possible, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully he's fine. But then we've got Lamptey and Sanchez both dropped out of their international teams as well over the break. I'm not sure if that was just a international break thing, but I haven't seen them in any photos, so I'm not sure about those two either. So it's a bit of a mess at the back at the minute.
Mark, any Brighton players in your squad at the moment?
None at the moment. No,
I presume you're not interested, or you steaming into treble Brighton because you're so confident for the weekend.
The thing is, I don't think we'll probably score at the weekend. So, I mean, if someone, can't imagine, if you was in a situation of a free hit, for example, or, you know, you was thinking along the lines of just for this one game, perhaps, you know, I could recommend a Brighton defender, perhaps. But it'd probably be, from what you're saying, a one-game punt and then move on. There's no reason why people can't target Norwich for the rest of the season.
I had a question, Sam, on Twitter earlier today. Forgive me, I can't remember the handle, but they'd added me and said, why is no one talking about a free hit game week 31? All the big clubs have good games. And I said, well, look at the other weeks. It's the same in a lot of the other weeks still left as well. If you were free hitting this week, surely you'd have something, Brian.
Yeah, I'd probably go. I'll probably keep Cucurella or even Dunk, and then have Maupay as well. I think those would be the two. Did you get that?
I think you're right. I think it'd be one defensive, one attacking. I think is the right way to go. I think if that was the case.
Yeah, scraping the barrel, but one defensive, one attack. If it was just for this week only.
I think, if you were free hitting this week, I think Maupay would be a serious consideration just by default because all the other forwards are rubbish, basically. And defensively, I mean, you could go Veltman, couldn't you? Was he like 4.2 or something? If Webster's back 4.3, he'll either play or he won't play. Basically, you could look at the keeper. But no, I'm in agreement, Sam. I'll be honest, I can't see myself looking at Brighton between now and the end of the season with the way your fixtures fall. I've got no real interest in your assets for that double. I mean, that's as rank as a double gets, basically, unless you add Tottenham and Liverpool as the double, which you had. And I sold Trossard, and I'm pleased I did. But I knew if I held him, it was always going to be, as I said to you, I'm going to end up holding all the way till Norwich in game week 31, aren't I? Mark, can you make any case for Pukki, mate?
I can, if people are moving off someone like Jimenez. So obviously it's cheaper. The only thing is obviously, Pukki's cheaper also than Weghorst, which people are going to be moving on to, who's got the double. And obviously they play Norwich next week. Not really. I mean, the only thing I'd say about Pukki is, You know, he's got 8 goals already. He's, you know, at Premier League level, he scores 1 in every 4 or 5. He'll probably get another 2 goals before the end of the season, but they might, you know, there'll probably be consolations. There's no way of telling who that would be against. Pukki ticks over. He always. I saw a tweet actually, and it sums up. I think Timmy Pukki's. I think he is a Premier League player. I think he gets a lot of slack because he plays for us. But the tweet was basically like, Timu Pukki hasn't let Norwich City down. Norwich City let Timu Pukki down. And I think that's really the case, because if he had some natural service and he was playing for a top half team, I mean, he scored 8 goals for a crap team like us. If he was playing for someone decent, he'd just probably score double that. I know he misses a lot of chances, but, you know, who doesn't? So,
Timu Pukki this season has got 10 more FPL points than Neil Maupay, 5 less than Ivan Toney, who's just scored all of his goals in the last 2 weeks, I think. He's got 10 less FPL points than Mikel Antonio, 11 less than Emmanuel Dennis, 13 FPL points less than Cristiano Ronaldo. And we were joking the last time you were on, Mark, that he had more than Harry Kane, didn't he? Obviously, Kane's exploded.
Point, didn't he? Yeah,
Kane's exploded since.
I'm glad I didn't bet on that, because I think you did mention it, didn't you? Who do you think will have the most of the
Yeah,
season?
I did,
so,
yeah.
That kept my money in my pocket there.
I think Harry might be winning out that one now. But there's a case, because the forwards are so bad, he's 5.9 million. Stick him in, play him, bench him, do what you want with it. I tell you what, Mark, honestly, it'd be right on my radar, depending on how your double falls at the end. Because we know you've got that Leicester fixture obviously going to hang. And do you know what? If it's West Ham at home and Leicester away, or even Wolves away and Leicester away, if I'm looking for a forward as part of a bench boost, I know I'm getting at least 4 points out of him. Like, it's not going to be worse than that, basically, is it? Until he does the Emmanuel Dennis on us.
As long as people know with Pukki, he's not going to bang, is he? He's probably not going to get a break even. But in the 2 games, for example, in a double, he could get a penalty, couldn't he? He could get a consolation. Simple as that.
I mean, it's consistent. He's going to be heading towards kind of probably the 130, 140 point bracket. And I think you're right, Mark. I think, to be honest, I'd say probably get more than 2 for what remains. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm pretty sure I said at the start of the season as well, he'll get somewhere between 8 and 12 goals this season. And
that's what you said, Jeff.
Achieve that again, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. Would you consider him at all for yourself?
Yeah, depending what's going on with my team at the time. I'd like to think there'll probably be always better options, but I wouldn't rule it out. It all depends. At the moment, there's so much, like, because of all the double game weeks, and it's very hard to sort of plan exactly what you're doing. I think you can start to, can't you, as the games, the fixtures thin out. But people have been playing a lot. I've played all my chips, for example, and it hasn't felt that I've gone anywhere near Pukki or the Norwich players. But as time goes on, who knows?
Sam, if I said to you from now to the end of the season, you can only have Maupay or Pukki, who are you having? I'd go for Pukki. I think I'm more likely now.
Cucurella is the last guy on my streams is going to come for you now, mate.
That's fine. I think I'm more likely now to have Norwich players in my team than Brighton. I think Cucurella is the last one I'll see in my squad this year. We're the team to target now. I think mid-table, nothing to play for, and when I play my wild card, if Norwich are still fighting for points, I'm probably more likely to go for Pukki than anyone.
Mark, same question.
That's very difficult, isn't it? Possibly Pukki. He's going to play every week as well. He's on penalties. He's pretty good penalty taker, actually. I know he's good for 1 or 2, but yeah, he's pretty good from the spot.
Okay, guys, thanks so much for your time. I wish you luck for the rest of the season. Sam, I do think you probably are on the beach. Mark, I particularly wish you lots of luck. Just not in game week 38, but I might see you on final day for a beer, maybe, mate.
You might do.
Sam, give us a correct score prediction, mate.
It feels wrong to predict us to win after 6 losses in a row, but I am. A nervy 1-0 Brighton.
Why did I have this feeling you were going to go rogue and go like 5-0 or something?
I'll take that as well.
And yourself, Mark?
Yeah, like I say, I think we're dead and buried. I think confidence is out the window. So I think we'll lose 3-0.
Right, nah, bollocks. I'm going to stick up for you, Mark. I'm going to go for the Brighton special, Sam. I'm going to go for 1-1. I think you're in a painful moment. I'm going to back a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. But yeah, I unfortunately do think it is over for you, Mark. I can't see you getting out of it. But if you could get the result at the weekend and then somehow beat Burnley, then you might get the momentum. You never know. But then you probably need to go and win at Man United as well. I mean, you've probably got to win maybe 5 or 6 of what's left, probably, which probably does look a task too far, admittedly. Sam, where can everyone follow you on the Bird app, mate?
Twitter at FPL Seagull.
Brilliant, mate. And yourself, Mark?
Yeah, FPL_Badger.
Good man. Thank you so much to both of you guys. Suj is not back from holiday until Tuesday, so there will be a bonus Clash of the Correspondents for you next Monday, a potential title decider, Man City versus Liverpool with FPL Pringle and FPL Loco Lord. And I can now confirm next Thursday COTC will be Brentford versus West Ham with FPL Dummy Tom and FPL Sky Addict. I'll be streaming on YouTube tomorrow. It's penciled in for 3 p.m. UK time with an audio of my Ask James stream to follow. Other than that, thanks again to Sam and to Mark. Cue music, please, man child.